and then not make their kitchen or bathroom look like their next door neighbors or like it was done in 2024. I want it to be, people to walk into their home and say, wow, who did this? Where'd you get this done at?
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Community Spotlight, where I interview local businesses that I know and trust and introduce them to you. Today on the show, I'm pleased to have Jerilyn Horn with Jerilyn Horn Kitchen and Bath Design Company, downtown Burlington. Super excited to be here. And so, Jerilyn, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So really, I was just kind of personally wanting to know your story and share it with the community.
Yeah.
All the time I'm on projects, and there will be different people asking me my thoughts on design stuff, and I've always wanted to have a designer I could kind of point them to. And then I came in one day, introduced myself, and just kind of said like, hey, who's a good client for you? Because I've got all these people that need a designer. And so then that was kind of how I met you. And since then I've just been seeing all these awesome projects you're doing. And but just wanted to jump way back.
Yes.
So if you could kind of share with me the story of how and why you got into design. I don't know if it was one of those childhood things where, what do you want to be when you grow up? Oh, firefighter, princess, designer.
Right, yeah.
What kind of got you interested way back then?
So what is that, 8th grade, they do career fair day.
Okay.
And that was one of the things I wanted to be, was an interior designer.
Perfect.
So, yep. And then we were traveling with my family. I was, in high school, maybe sophomore, junior, and we were in Fort Lauderdale, and we saw the Art Institute. And then I found out there were multiple art institutes all over the United States. So I went to get my interior design degree over in Schaumburg, Illinois, at the Art Institute there.
Wow.
So I got my bachelor's degree. That was around 2008. And I thought I wanted to actually do restaurant and retail design.
Okay.
Like get really, funky with colors and all of that. And, and I interned at a place like that, but then I ended up falling into kitchen and bath design, and I really loved it. And I found there was a need for kitchen and bath designers really this is my hometown area. So yeah.
That's awesome. So with your internship, were you able to kind of specialize in the kitchen and bath, or was that a different?
My internship was actually designing restaurants and nightclubs in downtown Chicago.
Oh, fun.
So that was fun. And I got to see just a whole different side of design. I mean, there's so many different avenues you can go down with the interior design degree.
Yeah.
And my first job, 2008, it was kind of a rough time then. There weren't many jobs at that time. But I ended up finding a job right around Schaumburg where I was. I worked there while I was going to school, and then I moved to Atlanta, Georgia, because they had an actual design position opened after I graduated school.
Sweet.
So I worked down in Atlanta for a while at the same company as an interior designer.
So same company, so you were doing similar projects just in Atlanta?
Right, exactly. Cool. And it was kitchen and bath, residential design.
Okay.
So that's where it all started.
That's
and I
awesome.
said, I don't think I want to do the hospitality, retail design anymore. I think I want to do the residential kitchen and bath. It's so much more personable, know, and getting to know the people and their families and being in their home. I mean, it's a very rewarding, a really rewarding job.
Just the whole experience you have with them.
Yeah.
And just that element of them getting to see the finished product and be so happy, we can live our life here and do this together as a family.
Yeah.
So like you said, a lot of different avenues and types of design. Is there kind of a certain niche that you found yourself in, as far as, I don't even know all the different lingo for all the different types, like the boho and the modern, and is there a certain element that really you enjoy doing more so than others?
Well, what I like to do is actually all kinds of styles. I have people that come to me that say they want modern, they want farmhouse, they want, so I try to just really expand my knowledge of all different types of styles, and try to accommodate what the customer wants, and then not make their kitchen or bathroom look like their next door neighbors or like it was done in 2024. I want it to be, people to walk into their home and say, wow, who did this? Where'd you get this done at? It wasn't just, a copy off of Pinterest or something. It had my spin on it.
So with having your spin, is there any certain thing that you notice that you either do or think about regularly that keeps you inspired to come up with these different ideas?
Well, I do Pinterest a lot, but then there's also just, following on Instagram, just like there's certain accounts that I follow, of course, Instagram that give me inspiration. And then just make me, have somewhere to start, but then add my spin on it, So a lot of times that's what customers will do. They'll, because there's so many products to choose from. It gets very overwhelming for them. So a lot of times they'll give me an inspiration picture or two, and that's what I'll go off of. But I won't make it look just like that picture. I will, throw my own spin on it from that point.
And so with the picture and your spin, what's your process like for like drawing out from them, like, who are you? What are you like? What's going to suit your space best and really mesh well with your personality? How do you kind of work with them on that?
Yeah, most times that conversation is at their home when I'm taking measurements. We'll sit down and we'll talk about it. I'll look around, like they'll have a family. How old are their children? Pets, what kind of pets do they have in their home? What's their lifestyle like? Are they... I have some clients that want the huge flour bins and sugar bins because they're cooking everything from scratch, and they have so many fresh vegetables. So then we need a lot more refrigeration storage and less freezer. I have some people that want a beautiful kitchen, but they go out to eat all the time. So they just want it to look pretty. Totally. So really we just sit down and we go through, like, what is your lifestyle like? Are you, and then that just really gives me an idea for what kind of storage they're needing in their kitchen, and what's going to suit their lifestyle and their family.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So we basically, when I met you, I asked if you'd be interested in kind of partnering with us as far as providing our color consultations, because a lot of times people would ask me, like, oh, what color do you think?
Yeah,
I've been around
that's a daunting question.
Yeah, I've been around paint a long time, and so I can usually give a decent answer, but then it's like, I don't necessarily know the science behind what warm tones go with cool tones, all this different stuff. And just in the last, I think it's been like 6 months or so, so many of our customers have just shared, like, oh, we had such a great experience with Jerilyn. She helped so much. It was so fun.
Yeah, that's great.
In those times where people are asking, like, okay, here's our house, like, what colors do you think? I've just kind of wondered what goes into it in your mind that helps you come up with such great ideas that these people are just loving. Like, is there I'm sure there's a science to it, but what? I know some of it's like just your own perspective. I don't know what kind of goes into it for you.
So a lot of times I'm looking at what furniture do they already have in their home? What's their flooring? Is it an old home? Is there all original wood baseboard? Or is it a modern, newer home and everything's white? Sometimes people buy new homes, as you know, and the whole house isn't their style at all.
Right.
But they start out by telling me, like, no, stay away from gray, or I do want gray, or I like more warm colors, and that kind of gives me a place to go by. But mainly I look at, if they already have rugs that they want to reuse and things like that, and I'll try to pull colors from there. And then I'll also ask, is there a color you absolutely don't like? Like, what do I need to stay away from? Do we need to stay away from blues or greens, And then I have been working with Sherwin-Williams actually since I was in interior design school. And I had one of their paint decks. I still have my original paint deck from 2008.
Cool.
But I have the new one though that I've been working with. Sure. So I almost know that whole paint deck by heart, honestly. So I kind of have my go-tos, that I know are going to work. They're not going to, especially like neutral color. I usually like to start with a neutral color that goes throughout the entire home, like the hallways, laundry room, closets, smaller spaces, and then like in a living room, I'm gonna spin off of like what colors are in their rugs and their furniture and all of that. And then we'll add a little bit of color there. But I don't like it when a house has too many colors going on. It has to be pretty cohesive.
Definitely.
So,
That makes sense. Kind of developing a color palette that works well.
Exactly. Yeah.
I know that a lot of folks would love to get maybe a bathroom remodeled. There's just kind of boring and stale, and they see your stuff online and they go, oh, what if we did our bathroom?
Yeah.
So the thought of that is one thing, but actually pursuing that is another, because some people can kind of get overwhelmed with like, how much of the ideas do I have to come up with, or how much is it going to cost, or these different elements. What are some things to keep in mind for a customer who's thinking about maybe reaching out to you to have you at least look at a project? Are there any certain considerations or things that you'd love them to know before reaching out that might actually encourage them and give them a sense of peace, going, no, hey, this is approachable. This is more doable than you realize. What kind of words of wisdom would you give to them?
So typically, I have a design process, and what I do is either, people walk in here or they give me a call or email, say, hey, we're wanting to redo our bathroom or our kitchen, and I have a design process. So what I have is a retainer. It's a very reasonable design retainer. If they ended up buying the products from me, then I apply that retainer back towards their products purchased. Cool. Or if they are they're wanting to keep their cabinets and have them painted, then they could just pay me to do a 3D design, and then I would just keep that retainer for my time. So it's kind of a win-win for me and the customer, So that retainer, though, would include me coming out and measuring, and that's peace of mind right there. Like, all the measurements are on me. I'm doing all the measuring. And then I'll put together a 3D design. And then when the design I put it up on my big screen, which is right here in the back of my showroom. And if they say, I kind of want my cabinets to be a different color, it's really easy with a click of a button to change their cabinets from white to blue, or change the quartz that's on their countertops or their backsplash tile. Like, we can play with the design together while we're sitting here together
and see it real time.
Exactly, and see it real time. And they're truly getting a sense of feel for how their kitchen or bathroom will look. Once we kind of get it to where we want it, then I create all the estimates for the products. And I'll try to hook them up with a reputable contractor in the area too.
Very cool. So, just kind of jumping into this space just a little bit, can you kind of tell me the story about what inspired you to take on the task of creating this awesome showroom, and then also what the experience has been like connecting with the community as a result of what you've done?
Yeah, definitely. So I live in Mount Pleasant.
Okay.
That's my hometown. But I have worked for other companies, in Fort Madison, up in Minneapolis, and I've been in this area for quite a while. And so I've just kind of grown a clientele, and Burlington was really central to everybody. So I thought this was a good spot. Plus, this downtown Burlington area is thriving so much. There's so many events and so much walking traffic and vendor shows out here. There's just so much awareness brought to me by being down here. This is probably one of the best places I could have chosen. Unfortunately, the most spaces down here are a little small, but I was able to fit everything in here, and make it all make sense. So I definitely love being down here. I mean, this is great. And then when was that? What year was that? You're making me think here.
No,
it was 2021 is when I was, winter of 2021.
Okay.
I was just walking up and down here, and I was just looking around, and it's like, I don't really see anything for sale, or, had to have tall windows, had to have tall ceilings for my light fixtures. And lo and behold, I found a for rent sign on the door here and contacted my landlord, and I've been here for 3 years now.
Wow.
So,
cool.
And I've evolved. I mean, I keep adding new things every year, and I mean, it's really shaping up in here.
That's awesome. So. Is there a certain aspect of the work that you've done since starting here and then working with customers that just top of the charts you just have so enjoyed? Like, I know there's a lot of different elements to what you do and provide, but is there like a certain project that stands out, or a certain process of what you do, or maybe just doing countertops in kitchens? Like, is there any certain thing that, like, I love it all, but this is the thing I really smile about?
Well, there's a few things I love. So I do new construction and I do remodel. Love them both. I think the funnest one, though, is a remodel of an old home.
Yeah.
Because it's such a challenge. It's not just a blank canvas. You have to work around windows that are there. You have to work around doors. You've got, pipes and electrical that are hidden in certain areas, and you've got to figure out how to relocate them. And I think it's just the before and the after is what's so exciting. I look at what was there and what I created, and it's just very rewarding. And then, I leave my customers going, wow, how did you even think about this? How did you even come up with this?
Yeah.
So, it's 3 a.m, I'm coming up with ideas in my head. It's just like, I never shut my brain off. I'm always thinking about it. So.
I understand. Yeah. When you say all that, it reminds me of Therese and Eric Sharman's building.
Yes.
And just what you were able to do there with that 150 plus year old building.
That was fun.
Super cool.
Yeah. The commercial spaces are still, like I told you, I did my internship, doing more commercial design.
Yeah.
And I still have been doing some of that, like Le Bohème right next door as well. And then Northwestern Mutual at the bottom of Snake Alley. That was another recent project. And then the Charmin's Spa.
Yeah.
So it's fun. You definitely got to get really creative with some of those projects, So
well, and between all your projects and then all the color consults I'm asking you to do,
right?
you stay pretty busy.
I do. Yeah.
Just kind of getting to know you just a little bit more. Funny question for you. Can you think of your favorite TV show as a small child?
Well, being a 90s kid, Care Bears, Rainbow Bright.
For sure, all the good ones.
Right, all the good ones.
That's awesome. Is there anything that I haven't asked you about, or things we haven't chatted about that you'd either like to mention or talk about at all?
Well, I guess another interesting thing about me is I also do fine art.
Okay.
I do watercoloring.
You know what?
And charcoal.
I think that I saw, my wife and I were looking at the art center. And we saw some pictures that you'd done. I forgot about that.
I am busy all the time on my weekends doing custom watercolors and charcoal drawings for people. And that's something that I've always done. It was definitely great during COVID when everything was shut down. I was drawing and painting so much, doing custom work for people.
So that's client work. So how do they just reach out to you and say, hey, I would love for you to paint me a picture?
I usually do portraits of people. Pet portraits are very popular. Historic home exteriors, those are always fun. So it's kind of a wide variety. And I have a website, of course, for my artwork and a website for my design. So
super cool.
Kind of keeps them separate, but some people that know me as an artist don't know I do interior design, and vice versa.
Really? Have you been doing the art just as long as the design?
Forever. I mean, that's what I started, since I was a little kid. I was always drawing all the time and painting. So
that's super cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, this has been a pleasure. Been super cool hearing your story.
Yeah.
And really, really excited about what you're doing in the community. You're really helping elevate the level of excellence in the area, and it's showing. So
well, thank you, and thank you so much. I love doing color consults for you and your customers too.
I'm so glad. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. This has been another episode of Community Spotlight. We'll see you in the next one. Awesome.
Perfect.
Thank you. You did so good.
Good job.
People have been asking me, like, are you doing a podcast? Like, no, you can do slow videos.
Well, that's it. The Chamber, Stephen Brody does podcast.